Hey, yeah, I'm just gonna make another little rave on video because I haven't done one for a while. I'm catching up on what things are going on, and I've just come back from busking. Oh, I'm exhausted. It was hard today because there's not a lot of caravans around at the moment. I guess everyone's gone home for Christmas, and wasn't a huge amount of people around, but there were also four other buskers up in the main street, so yeah, that made it a little bit challenging, and I really didn't make very much money at all. Probably the worst day as far as income goes. And I'd had a shopkeeper come up and tell me that that it was too loud and that I'd played for too long, and she had a headache, and she was trying to sort of encourage me to go to other places. That was about 2 weeks ago, and it really discouraged me to the point where I just didn't want to go up at all because I don't know, it's just not nice knowing that someone isn't appreciating it and that you're giving them a headache and that they'd rather you be somewhere else. It just made me not want to go. So I did go up on Wednesday and I went to a different spot and I did fairly well, but it's a spot that is often used by other buskers. So um, yeah, so that wasn't an option today, and so I'm a little disappointed by that. My neighbours that were camped next to me, that we'd kind of created this little homeless community in here, and two of them have rolled out. The ones right next to me rolled out last week, I think it was, and my friend Loretta, she rolled out today. And honestly, I was pretty much ready to roll on myself. After that incident with the shopkeeper, I was just, yeah, really disappointed with that, and really wanted to go and see my son. And he's playing actually right now as I'm making this video. My son is playing at a festival, and I really, really wanted to go. And I kept telling myself, if I sit still, I can save up some money. And I had a whole bunch of medical bills, as you know, and I really have had to. There's no way that I would have had enough money to pay for all the medical bills if I hadn't been able to go busking, because you need the money in the bank to pay on your card for the medical bills, and then they do like a rebate through Medicare back onto your card that you paid with, so you can't pay them with cash. And so I figured, well, if I was busking, I could pay my camping fees with cash. If I could pay my food money with cash, then I could leave money in the bank for the doctor's bills. And yeah, I think I just got caught up in the whole, it's more important to be able to make some money. And I had saved up a little bit of money since I've been sitting still, because I'm not putting petrol in the car. That's the main thing. It's just no petrol in the car. I've put $20 in the car since I've been here. I don't use the car very often, and I try to walk. Every time I need something, I walk into town. Every time I go busking, I walk in. I deliberately don't use the car to save petrol, and that's just a big saving for me than traveling around. So I didn't end up going down to see Sebastian play, and I'm feeling it now, because I actually, knowing that it's happening now and seeing videos on Instagram, and I just think it would have been pretty special to be there. So, and also it's Christmas coming up, and Christmas is a hard time of year for me, because it's always been hard with divided families. When I was married and we were divorced, and the kids would go from one place to another, and my family were always all scattered all around the world as well. So you watch all these other people doing the big family get together type things, and you don't have that. And part of you kind of says, oh, it doesn't really matter, it's not important, you know, it's just a day or whatever. And probably I could justify that in my head, but it's just so in your face that everyone else is doing that, has got, you know, someone to be around, or is getting together with family that they haven't seen for a while. So honestly, I feel like I'm going to cry. Like, I just don't know where I'm supposed to be, and I just don't feel like it's here anymore. It was good for a while because, you know, getting to the doctors and specialists and sorting out some stuff, you know, getting, yeah, lots of things that I was really needing to get on top of sorted. You know, access to shops and healthy food and organic food and all that kind of stuff was great. Being able to swim in that beautiful river was, you know, magical, and having this little community here that we'd kind of had was nice. But something has changed in the last couple of weeks, and the biggest thing has been the start of school holidays. Because I'm in a showgrounds, like it's a public community space that has, you know, a gym and soccer fields and dog park and a skate park and volleyball and cricket, and, you know, there's all sorts of aerobics across the street, so you have to listen to that every afternoon, you know. 3, 2, 1, this lady shouts at the people while they listen to boppy music and be tortured for an hour or so. It looks like absolute hell to me. I'd never want to do anything like that. I was going to the gym using the rowing machine, but I couldn't really afford that either because that was $75 for the month. So I decided I'd go swimming in the river instead, and I'll do laps in the river, and it's free and it's beautiful, it's relaxing. But then the river swimming hole is right behind the skate park, and now that it's school holidays, every day this place has been just teeming with teenagers. They hang out at the skate park, they hang out down at the river, they leave rubbish everywhere. I mean, yesterday when I went down, it broke my heart. I only went down because I couldn't hear kids, and I'm like, oh, I might be able to get some laps in before they turn up. But within 5 minutes they were all back again, and there was just empty Coke bottles and chip packets just scattered all around, all over the rocks, even in the river itself. I pulled out a few Coke bottles that were floating around, and they just leave their rubbish everywhere all around the skate park, and then they ride their bikes and skateboards up and down the street here, and as they do, they're yelling and screaming at each other. They literally just communicate by screaming at each other the whole time they're at, and because I'm right here, like where that swimming hole is right behind my caravan, because the skate park's just up a few doors up from me. So that's sort of shattered the kind of serenity somewhat, to have screaming kids. And I tell you what, like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind kids, and, you know, I mean, I've had teenagers, I know what's involved, but oh my God, the language, it's just horrendous. Like, I've never, I won't repeat it because it's so disgusting, but they use the term effin' cunt as a term of endearment when they're talking to each other. Like, it's just every second word is that to each other, and they're not just sort of saying it in quiet tones. It's like they're screaming and shouting that constantly from one side of the river to the other, from one side of the skate park to the other. It's horrible. And a couple of times I've said something like, you know, like, hey, you might want to pick up some of that rubbish. I'm very cautious about not pushing the issue because there's a lot more of them than there is of me, and I'm basically a sitting duck here in a caravan. So it's happened to me camping here before years ago that, you know, my little outdoor chairs were gone when I came out in the morning. Like, you know, what happened at Minyip, you know, when some teenagers came and cut the cord of my washing machine, my little camping washing machine that was out the front. So when they get together, they get a bit of a, you know, herd mob mentality thing goes on, and they really don't seem to have any respect for the beautiful natural environment that they're blessed to live in. They don't have any respect for the river. They don't have any respect for anyone else around them and their requirement for peaceful enjoyment of this beautiful environment. And I can't even imagine, like, the grey nomads and the tourists that come up here to camp, what they must think of this. It's probably why it's so empty at the moment. Like, it's been fuller, and now it's holidays. There's just nobody up here camping, and I'd say that's probably a big part of it. There's vandalism in the toilets. They've knocked over wheelie bins. There's 3 wheelie bins outside the skate park, but they don't put their rubbish in it. They just throw it on the ground and it floats down into the river because it's right on the banks of the river. One time I went up to use the toilets up there. I mean, locks have been broken, toilet paper thrown all around the place. The wheelie bins had been knocked over and there was broken smashed glass all across the entrance road that comes in here. So I went up there and cleaned it all up, and it just makes me really sad to see that kind of blatant disrespect for such a beautiful, pristine, natural environment. And it bothers me on 2 levels. One, because, you know, I appreciate nature and Mother Nature and absolutely revere and respect how lucky we are to have places that are still beautiful and amongst the sprawl of suburbia. You know, I've always sought out beauty. So it makes me a little bit sad. It also makes me really angry, but mainly I find it quite just, I'm not feeling comfortable here, you know? I'm not feeling comfortable. I can't have my peaceful swim in the river. I need so much space where there's nothingness. Like, for me to deal with any kind of busyness with people and traffic and those type of stressful situations, like, I have regular doses of nothing days where I'll cocoon myself in here, have the fan running on white noise, shut the windows and doors so I can kind of block out as much of the world as I can. And those times is when I recharge my battery so I can feel able to be my, you know, happy normal self. And yeah, the lack of privacy and an escapism that is available in this very publicly exposed spot. I mean, there are people taking photos of my van all the time. They're walking up, knocking on my door, wanting to ask me about the caravan or the truck, and so I made up a little notice and I put in the window as they approach the door, and it says, "Please do not disturb, thank you." Like, you can't miss it, and it doesn't make a difference. People still knock on the door. So I'm really getting this I need to run away urge, and I know this happens whenever I sit still for too long. I eventually get this, it's time to roll on. It's just time to roll on. But, you know, the psychologist I'm seeing up here, who's trying to really work with me on some of this PTSD, complex PTSD mindset, and my doctor's got me doing this DNRS neural retraining system to try and, you know, reduce the impact of that kind of hair trigger fight or flight response. And they're very adamant that it's really important for me to stay put and, you know, work through that rather than constantly bolting every time things seem a little bit scary, which is pretty much all the time. Because the world is a pretty scary place, you know, and when I'm in here by myself and cocooned up, I feel happy and safe, and I don't feel crazy at all, and I can cope with most things. But out there, and problem is that Sunshine Coast it's growing. I mean, I think it's the fastest growing region in Australia at the moment as far as new people coming in. People from Victoria come up here because the weather's nice, so like people just, you know, it's got great beaches and beautiful hinterland, and there's so much beauty of it, but so many new housing developers, so much more traffic than there was when I lived here. It's just manic and stressful, and it's basically become like a city, and I'm really struggling with that. I just don't, it's just too peoply for me. You know, I talked about it before, this getting peopled out feeling. Yeah, I'm well and truly there, and it's getting to the point where I'm pushing myself to go up there and go busking because I literally just really need the extra money. um, and I'm exhausting myself because of it. So it's tough because there's things I want to do. I want to do fun things and, you know, be able to go and visit my kids and, yeah, go to a concert every now and then, or I don't know, just do little enjoyable things instead of just being in survival mode all the time. But in order to do that, I've got to really put myself out there, and I put myself out there, and then something happens, like that woman coming up to me and telling me that I'd given her a headache because it was really annoying her in her shop, and that I'd played for too long. And I explained to her, I have a permit, and I'm allowed to play up to 3 hours. And normally I don't play the full 3 hours because I get tired. I said, but I really, really needed the money this week. That's why. This was like, you know, a couple of weeks ago when I had all those doctor's bills to pay, and I was really stressing about it. She says, oh, well, you know, I mean, she was saying it with a nice tone of voice, and she was trying to be nice about it, but it really hurt my feelings. I think it was pretty nasty. Nobody wants to be told that they've been annoying and that they've given someone a headache and that they're not appreciated, and that they, you know, why don't you try your Monday markets? Why don't you try, you know, basically anywhere but here? Well, anywhere that I have to load up my car and drive more than an hour to get to for the sake of busking, you know, would probably cost me more in petrol than I would make and wouldn't be worth my while. I'm doing it here because I can walk. So that was a, yeah, pretty kind of triggering experience for me, because I had kind of lulled myself into this feeling of, oh wow, getting so much great feedback, and people are putting money in my tin and telling me they really appreciate my music. Like, I'm getting this little confidence starting to grow, you know. Like, it's hard because when you are homeless and you're on disability and you're in survival mode, you're in a really fragile place, you know, and you're struggling to maintain your own self-esteem and your own sense of self-worth in amongst, you know, hearing other people make derogatory comments, you know, unbeknownst that you are homeless or anything, like derogatory comments about, oh, those homeless people, you know, or I don't know. I'm just very sensitive at the best of times. But, you know, being in a precarious living situation and not having the backup and support of someone around, or someone's, or people around kind of having your back, as it were, it does make you more sensitive to little things like that. And so that one little thing becomes a really big deal for me, where it's like, oh, well, what's the point of going out there if that's the reaction I'm going to get? It's not worth it. I mean, I go to this huge effort. I dress up, I put makeup on, I do my hair. You know, I'm in performance mode, and I treat it like a job, like I'm up there to work, and it's hard not to feel that, you know, because my business failed and I got sick, and, you know, nothing ever works, and it's always so hard for you just to do the things that other people kind of seem to do relatively easily, is a really, really big deal for me. And I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. And I'm doing everything I can, like therapy wise and learning wise. I mean, do my Wim Hof breathing in the morning, and my cold showers, and meditations and affirmations, and psychologists and psychiatrists and everybody, you know, anything that I think will help to alleviate the symptoms of the debilitating aspects of living with the things that I'm living with. I do. So, you know, I feel like I should get kudos for that, you know, like I should have someone patting me on the back and saying, good on you, Lisa, you know, you're really making an effort, and to have that acknowledged, that it is hard for me, you know. Anyway, part of this DNRS thing is I'm not to talk about my symptoms or the names of my illnesses. It's all about retraining your brain. You're just supposed to call them it. So my its. I've got lots of its as far as DNRS goes, and I'm trying not to focus on them. You know, trying to focus on just being healthy. And anyway, I'm struggling. I'm on the verge of tears, and because I didn't have a good day up there today. I didn't really make much money at all. I had enough coins in my tin to go and buy myself a little nice something from the co-op to eat because I was a bit hungry. And, you know, I mean, I always tell myself if I make $50, it's worth the effort of going up there and the effort that it takes and the 3 hours or so that I play for. And I usually make more than that, but not today. So, and I did go really, I did a little with my hair. I even ironed my dress. Let's see this is my friend Lisa gave me this one. I love this dress. It's very pretty and it's got beautiful flowers all over it and roses, and I even ironed it. And I am not an ironer, I can tell you. I am not a girl that likes to iron. I ironed my dress today. I styled my hair. I put my makeup on. I walked all the way up there. I dragged my little trolley up the hill. And some days it works, some days it doesn't. A bit like my body. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. And yeah, feeling a little discouraged and down, and thinking that, it might be time to roll on. I do have another psychologist appointment on Thursday. I did talk about it with him last appointment, the fact that I was getting this I gotta roll feeling again, and he was trying to talk me out of it, but it's hard not to let go of the feeling in the back of your mind that there is no place for you. There is no place for you. There's just not. And it's a combination of trying to find a place that suits my particular brand of needs, my requirements for amenities and services and healthcare, as well as solitude and peace, and that I can stay at for as long as I need to. That's just so rare. It's so rare. I think it's been, well, really only one other place. That was Warwick Nabil, where they had said you can stay as long as you want in 3.5 years. And as it turns out, Warwick Nabil, where they had told me I could stay as long as I want, just after I left, they kicked everyone out, including the permanents who'd been there for more than 10 years, some of them, and had built little structures and everything, gone to huge effort to create their little homes. They all got kicked out because, of course, the big Murray River flood was coming down that way. So they closed the caravan park waiting for the flood, and now they've told everyone they can't come back because they're redeveloping the park and they're going to put in cabins and redevelop the camping sites, and they won't have any space for the permanents there. So my friends and people that I know down there just saying that it's a miracle that I got out when I did, because they know that they would have really flipped me over the edge if that had happened while I was there, and advised me not to come back because there's nothing to go back to. And that will happen here too eventually when they have their music events and they have something. Obviously the show, when the show, they have the shows that travel around, the carnival kind of show things that travel around from town to town. When they have them at showgrounds, then everyone who's camped at the showgrounds has to leave. So that's pretty normal. You've always got to check ahead when you're traveling. If you're planning on staying at showgrounds, make sure, look it up on the internet, find out when their actual show is in that town, and make sure that you're not rolling in with the intention of stay. It's happened to me before. I think it was Canungra. I was rolling in intending to stay at the showgrounds and then found out that the actual show was on, so had to change my plans. So, you know, everything, even the ones that make you feel like you've got a place to stay for as long as you want, are, you know, you're always a temporary person. So that feeling of temporariness, of no place to call home and no place to rest your head, as far as just stop thinking about logistics for like yeah, that would be nice, but I don't know if I could handle it even if I had it, because I'll get frustrated and I'll want to roll on anyway. So it's a combination of me and my flight instinct combined with a lack of place to do anything but constantly be in flight mode. Anyway, just another rant. Just me, raw, ranting and raving about some of the challenges that I face. Pull it together, Lisa. You know, I'm thankful for my resilience. I'm thankful for my resourcefulness. I'm thankful for the roof over my head. I'm thankful for the food on my plate. I'm thankful for everybody who's ever helped me over the years, even if it's just to listen to my crap. Anyone who's offered any kind of support, emotional especially. That means so much. For everybody who's put money in my tin, so thankful. Thankful for the fact that I have a musical bone in my body that allows me to have picked this crazy instrument up after my, you know, years and years of not playing and wondering how I was going to fill my days during lockdown in a tin can, and that now turning into an opportunity to make a little bit of extra money on the side. None of that was planned. So, you know, little positive things that happen along the way, and I do try to sort of stay as much focused on them as possible. But I you know, I have to be honest, the challenge of what's happening in the back of my head and what's happening in the reality of being in this situation, and it, you know, you can make it look really appealing, and I do get people telling me all the time that I'm living the dream. And if it was combined with any place that felt truly like home, that I could return to and be amongst accepting human beings who like me, want me, appreciate me, see the value in me being in their lives, if there was that place somewhere where I could have, then I think my sense of well-being would probably be a lot better than it is. And the seeking out beautiful experiences and places and things is just what you have to do to offset that other stuff. You just have to, because otherwise you'd end up like most people in this situation, drinking every day, smoking every day, doing drugs, you know, just losing all hope. What's the point? It's not going to get any better than this. It's not going to improve. I just want to blot it all out. And I kind of respect my vessel too much to take that route. And also, you know, I just don't think that's the way to do it. I kind of get those types of experiences from losing myself swimming in a river, or climbing up some rocks, or walking through the forest, or lying in the middle of a field of grass with my dog jumping all over me. You know, there is other ways that I have to, listening to my favorite music, having a dance party here in the caravan, crank up the tunes, turn on the crazy lights and just dance my sillies out. You know, that's how I offset and counteract the kind of soul crushing scary, daunting, overwhelming aspects of being a homeless person living in a caravan with no place to call home. So, anywho, I won't burden you with too many rants like this, but I always am really appreciative that when I do just let it rip like this and just say, hey, you know, this isn't all fun and games, and it is hard. It's, you know, being a little bit vulnerable like that, and I'm always really pleasantly surprised the few times that I've done this that people actually say really nice things, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, it helps. And for people like, you know, who don't understand, and family in particular, like, why do you have to tell your story to the whole world? Why do you, you know, like as if I'm being an attention seeker or I'm seeking validation or something? And it's like, it's really not that. I mean, you'll never see me go, oh, you know, please, if you like this video, please click like and hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell so that you get the notifications. I don't care. I'm not on here to become a YouTube star. I'm not on here to become an influencer. I'm not here to come up with, you know, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I really don't care if nobody ever subscribes to my YouTube channel at all. I just, you people out there in interspace are my person to talk to sometimes, you know, like I just need to talk about what's going on for me in a kind of a neutral, non-judgmental environment. And the good thing about doing it into camera, which is probably why, you know, quite a lot of people in my situation find this a lot easier than interacting with real human beings. I do struggle with that. I struggle because I'm constantly scanning for cues of like, am I annoying? Am I too much? Am I talking too much? Am I too loud? Am I this? You know, like, are they angry at me? Did I say something wrong? It's such an exhausting process for me to have that dynamic of interaction. It's actually easier for me to just say what I need to say from my end and then read what you guys think about it after the fact. For my brain, that works better. So thanks for putting up with me, and yeah, hopefully I can get myself into a more positive headspace in general, and possibly a new geographical location coming soon. See ya.